its journey, it'll clip by the Wasatch Front. The next day, it winds up in Colorado. So, okay, snowfall for the Olympics. Usually we get 6 inches during this Olympic time frame in the valley. I'm not sure what the influence was. I was born with the love of weather. I don't know why. Ever since I was a kid, I've looked up at the sky, seen the clouds, and just thought, fascinating stuff. When I first started television weather, I think it was 1963, and we didn't have anything at all. They said, what do you need? And I said, I don't know, I need a map. So we took a 4 by 8 foot sheet of Formica, and we penciled in an outline of the state of California, and took a router and routed in an outline of the state. And then I drew with a felt pen marker, and that was it. That was technology in those days. I remember my first day, I was scared to death. I was just looking in that camera, pretending that it was my mother and my wife who were out there. They were the only ones, and I knew they loved me, so I was going to be okay. I used to take a facsimile page off of a big old honking fax machine, take a felt pen and color out the state outline, and use a #1 knitting needle and point at it with the camera.
I remember Mark Eubank when he first came to Salt Lake City, the crew cut, young guy, a whole different approach to the weather, a whole different approach to television news at that time.
Well, eventually we got to chroma key. We got to where the computers would put it up behind the chroma key. Your satellite images were there. Well, in here is a high pressure, just a big mound of warm, sinking air. 11 o'clock tonight may come zooming into the Wasatch, but it looks like between now and then, everything is dandy in the Salt Lake Valley at Olympic Stadium.
He's got these little kid expressions about him, the way he describes the weather.
Tomorrow, boom, it'll be...
And this is just an itty-bitty little tinkling of the, he'll just get right into it.
St. George, thunder, clouds, wind, 84.
He's telling you a story, almost, about what's coming.
The big word is windy. I mean, if you want to pass for 80 yards, face north and let that ball go.
And he will say, now this front is kind of rough coming down here. It'll kind of choom, 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 this way.
Morning, here's the Wasatch Front, boom, boom, boom. Fast moving thing. And now?
We're going to go zing right on out of here, or here it goes.
Clouds, and all of a sudden over here, a little spinning, a little circulation, and boom, up popped Tropical Storm Barry. Close to 1970, I went to the Paris department store. It's gone. I bought a bone-colored sport coat. Front, the question is there another storm? Yes, it's almost here. And do we need another storm? Well, let me show you. And I didn't realize it, but one night on television, Bill Marcroft, the sports guy, said, Eubank, every time you wear that darned white coat, it snows. And I thought, I can make that work.
But another storm is coming to Utah.
And Mark is wearing his white coat. Oh, no.
It snowed pretty hard. All right, and it became quite popular. And after a number of years, I quit doing it. And people called and said, no, you got to wear the snow coat. We love the snow coat. And I thought, I'm surprised how much people really paid attention to that. So then I wore it all the time. 62 miles an hour early this morning. That would have been a disaster tonight, but it could have been worse. I tried to make it informative. But I tried not to make it stiff. Not that I wanted to be an entertainer, but tried to make it so that it was, well, here, Disney. Disney was my mentor. After those storms, there's always a bright picture. Lane Stevens got this picture in Wayne County, a double rainbow, and that thing was absolutely brilliant. Way to go, Lane. Thanks for sharing. Disney would make something really interesting, and you'd be taught along the way. You didn't think you were being taught like you were being schooled, and yet you think, wow, that's kind of cool.
Mark didn't like to keep timing. He didn't like to have an IFB or an earpiece where the producer in the control room was communicating to Mark. And traditionally, someone's back there behind the scenes telling you how much time you have left. And we would give Mark 3 or 3.5 minutes per weathercast. And somehow, magically, without being counted down, without anybody telling him how much time's left, Mark was able to hit it to the second.
I'll show you how close it is and how much is coming in a minute, Dick.
It's a lot of great broadcasters that this community's produced who've been honored by the Utah Broadcasters Association. Tremendous experience and a lot of people who've dedicated a lot and meant a lot to this community and to the profession of broadcasting. But I'd say, you know, if not Mark Eubank, who?
I don't think he'll relax at all in his retirement. I'm sure he gets up in the morning and studies the weather still, and he always will, and that's because that's what he loves. So I just wish him all the best. I know.
And these World Games got off without a weather hitch. I want to show you what that stadium looks like from way out in space. Here's the planet, here's the Terminator showing the dark side, and the Earth is rotating, and Salt Lake is going into the dark shadows in the evening. And as the cameras come down, we will find Utah. Can you see the Great Salt Lake? Can you see the Wasatch Mountains? Can you see Olympic Stadium? Not yet, but we're getting closer. We're coming into the Salt Lake Valley. These are fabulous cameras from NASA. Look at it, there's the valley, and the stadium is right in there. These are special cameras that let you go from outer space down to the ground. This was the stadium. There's the ice skating rink. From space to Salt Lake City, Rice-Eccles Olympic